Call to order the regularly scheduled council meeting for Tuesday, October 27th. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. McDermott?
Here.
Mr. Yates?
Here.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Here.
Mr. Roden?
Here.
Mr. Cerisi?
Here.
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
At this time, could we stand for an invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Ted Yates?
We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations, and on our efforts here today, may we act wisely and well. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Are there any changes to the minutes from our October 13th meeting? All right, hearing none, the minutes will stand as presented. Awards and presentations this evening.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Shannon, we're to audience participation.
Okay. First, we have Joseph Bismond.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor-elect Mr. Ted Yates. Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mr. Maestros. Good evening, Ms. Shannon, Ms. Karen. It's always nice to see you, ladies. I have a question for Mr. Fury. I've tried to call the Twinsburg government. Never got through to anyone. When someone is newly elected to be Twinsburg City Council at large, is that person the one who facilitates a city council meeting?
This isn't a debate. I apologize for not reading the rules before, but you're allowed 5 minutes to discuss whatever topic you want, and then we can answer your question later.
No, that was just a general question.
I understand.
So, who facilitates city council meetings? At large, or?
Again, this isn't a discussion or debate at this point. I'll tell you that it's the president of council that's elected by the council members, but the purpose of audience participation is for us to listen to you, discuss whatever position you like, and then we can or cannot respond after it's over, but it's not supposed to be a back and forth. That part happens in audience participation in the caucus, not in the actual meeting.
Something else I didn't know.
Nice.
Thank you.
No worries. Shannon, can I have the next person, please?
Next, we have Dustin Basmagi.
Good evening, Dusty Basmagi, 9727 Ravenna Road. Election day is coming soon, and I have to decide who to vote for in our local elections. In many ways, the local elections affect me more on a day-to-day basis than the federal and state elections. For example, I'm going to drive through the roundabouts that you all approved once or twice a day, but a federal program like Obamacare doesn't affect me at all. Also, the state auditor or a judge don't play a major role in my life either. But something like an unresolved zoning issue in the square affects me on a daily basis. So when I decide who to vote for, I ignore all of the yard signs. Often the same yard has both rival signs right next to each other. I enjoy reading the snail mail literature that you send, the stuff you hang on my doorknob, and the ads you purchase in the local papers. However, please do not robocall me the night before the election. It reminds me of a kid who's had 6 months to do his homework and is writing it desperately on the school bus on his way to school the morning the paper is due. I enjoy reading all of the paid ads. However, I don't need to know about your family. I'm not voting for them. I don't need to know about your education or how many degrees you have, as long as you are not a high school dropout. I don't care. And I don't care where you are employed. As a matter of fact, if you are retired or don't have a job, you may be able to spend more time working for us in the City Hall. Tell me where you stand. So I have a bunch of ads I ripped out of the paper. First, Daisy Walker says, "My desire is to represent the best interests of the residents." That's good, but it's the last sentence. Mr. Scafidi, "My position has always been the residents." Third last sentence. Mr. Soresi, "Listen and respond to community concerns." Third last bullet point. I would put them near the top. By the way, the one you sent me in the mail today was a lot better. Gary, you and I have not always seen eye to eye. I even sent you a nasty letter once. But you nailed it with this quote. It was in the Twinsburg Tribune. "We are elected to represent the constituents we serve and should at least put their input and should at least consider their input prior to disposing of city assets." I enjoy reading all those questions in the bulletin that they conduct with the candidates. They also often impose a word limit. After I read them, I go back and see who followed the directions and kept their answers short and to the point and who got edited. I feel if you can't follow the simple directions for a free interview, how are you going to follow the intricacies of the city charter? Gary, next is one that I found stuck to the front of my bulletin last week. It says, "Gary Soresi, Mayor of Twinsburg, full-time, no conflict." Are you implying that your opponent is going to try to squeeze in being mayor around his day job? I'm getting no answer, so I'm just going to point out, this lady sent me some literature, Diane Calvecchio, clerk of courts. She's saying Diane will leave her law practice to become a full-time clerk of courts. $93,000 is a lot of money for a part-timer, especially when the full-time teacher only makes half of that, and so does a full-time carpenter. Finally, I have said nothing about the candidate running in my ward, Ward 3. She is running unopposed. I am not voting for her. Why, you may ask? When you see her ads in the bulletin for her real estate business, her picture is often larger than the houses she's trying to sell. It makes me wonder where her priorities are. Therefore, if there's a space on my ballot, I'm going to write my name in for Ward 3 councilman. Also, if you live in Ward 3 and don't like the fact that we have no choice on the ballot, I encourage you to write my name down. Imagine how excited I will be when I wake up Wednesday morning and grab the plain dealer and see that I got 2 votes. Maybe 3 if I can convince my wife. Here's what I support: transparency in local government, keeping our infrastructure sound, green spaces, and not just a walkable, pedestrian, bike-friendly downtown, but the entire city, up to our borders. Here's what I oppose: elections without a choice, the CIC as it currently stands, and building new storefronts and businesses when we have a glut of vacancies. Oh yeah, I have a high school diploma. I am not a dropout.
Thank you. Shannon, who's next?
Next, we have Mr. Turl.
Mr. Basemaggie, always a tough act to follow. Mike Troll, 9930 Forest Lake Drive. Last time I was up here at the podium, I was speaking about make sure I get on the tape here. I was speaking about the water lines in Glenwood Acres, and I didn't quite get to finish all my comments, and the more I thought about it, I would like to finish this up. I'm going to read something from mesothelioma.com. I believe they're a pretty strong source on asbestos. Cement pipe containing asbestos was first used in the United States and Canada in 1931. This kind of concrete pipe was made from a mixture of Portland cement and asbestos fiber. Even today, asbestos cement pipe remains part of a number of city water delivery systems, and these pipes are now starting to reach the end of their useful lifespan. Most municipalities have been working on removing and replacing these pipes over the past 30 years. We've been working actively on it for about 6. While the asbestos contained in these water pipes is not likely to become airborne and cause respiratory disease, there have been serious health consequences for those in communities where public water supplies still travel through asbestos cement pipes. I invited people to come back and check out the results of a study that I did. I had a few council people come back and My own personal councilman, Mr. Scafidi, did not. Instead, he got up and refuted everything that I said and spoke of these supposed water problems. Mr. Scafidi, my father did not have
Sir,
supposed.
you
Oh,
gotta
I'm
make your
sorry. I'm sorry.
Comments to the president, please.
Okay, I'm
Thank you.
sorry. My father did not have supposed cancer. My sister did not have supposed cancer. I have not had friends and neighbors dying of supposed cancer. The results I got from asking questions on several different pages, and I know it's not scientific, but if it's skewed in one direction, it's going to be skewed all over, showed 5 times the cancer rates in Glenwood Acres. And these people have to wait until 2023 to get these water lines replaced. The information that I received from City Hall showed that these pipes can be replaced for a cost of $1.6 million. And we're looking at spending $4.5 million on a clubhouse at the golf course. Now, I love golf as much as anybody else. I don't get to play. That to me is a luxury. Clean drinking water is a necessity. And we're going to wait and put this thing off. Another thing that I got on my information says that the last line to be replaced is the water line from Glenwood to railroad tracks to East Idawood, which is a 10-inch main. All the others are 6-inch. That tells me that's the feeder for this entire neighborhood. And so it doesn't matter if all this other stuff gets changed out. That main feeder pipe, you're still getting drinking water through asbestos pipe. Now, it was told to me that this water's tested every single day. Yeah, I'm sure they test it down at the Kirtland pumping station down in Cleveland. I'm sure they test it down at the Twinsburg water tank. I very highly doubt they go down to Edgewood Drive every day and test that water, where these people take it out of their tap every day and wash their clothes and bathe and shower and drink. I heard concerns about asbestos in the old school, and we're pursuing a grant to get rid of this, but there were never any concerns then when Kent and Chrysler were in the building, and now all of a sudden it's a big concern about the asbestos in the old school, but there seem to be no concerns about the asbestos pipes with the drinking water here. I kind of lost the page here. This is something that definitely needs to be addressed sooner than later, and I'm probably going to leave the podium here before my time's up for a change. But this is something that needs to be addressed sooner than later. And hiding behind this veil of fiscal responsibility, of course we have to be smart with our money. Nobody's going to go out there and say, I'm just going to spend money willy-nilly. This is something that is not important. This is something that is an absolute necessity. And I would think that people with extreme health concerns should be aware of that. The people of Glenwood Acres are very well aware of this issue. The people of Tinker's Woods are aware of this. The people of Glenwood Preserve are very well aware of this situation. And this is something that needs to be addressed and will be handled different in the future, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turl.
I apologize for being out of order.
It's all right. Comments?
Are we done? Is there anybody else?
There is no one else.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I go first and then you?
Sure.
All right. Mr. Turl, when you showed your information regarding your water line, it was in between the caucus meeting and the council meeting. It's like a 5-minute break with lots of stuff going on, so there was not time to look at that. But I've been looking at data on those water lines. I've been here 12 years. For 10 years, we've been looking at those, and we continually test the water. It's transite. It's not asbestos. There's a difference. The $1.6 million that you're referring to is maybe the cost of the water line, but it's not cost of the project, because when we do a water line, we have to redo the whole road. We typically put storm sewers in, probably curbs. I mean, there's a lot to those. So those are major road programs, and we can't do 3 and 4 major road programs in the same area for cost as well as convenience, because you can't shut all the roads down in the same area at one time. So we've done 5, I believe, of 8, and Mr. Scafidi is going to correct me in a second because he's going to go next. But I understand that you're concerned, and I would tell you that we've tried to address this in an orderly manner. I think we've done 5 water lines as total reconstructions of the roads, and there's a plan to have it completed. And all the data that we've looked at for the last 10 years regarding transite, again, as I mentioned to you before, the transite was causing cancer. I'd see advertisements on TV to call the transite attorney for lawsuits, and there just aren't any. And we've looked into this multiple times with Cleveland Water as well as outside information. I just disagree with your findings, sir. That's all I have. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Desmond. All the information you would need regarding how the presidency, who runs the meetings, how meetings are conducted, everything is in the charter. If you go to mytwinsburg.com and pull the charter down, it'll be right there, because the charter is really the controlling document for city. If not, we refer to state law if we don't address that section in the charter. Mr. Scafidi.
Am I allowed to respond?
No.
No. Thank you. As I mentioned before, I will not be baited, and I will not be baited tonight. This is not a forum for a political candidate to come and do their political little dance, okay? I've said this for years. This forum here is to conduct city business, not to politic. You want to politic? Go door to door. Do it there. You talk about the map that you made and that Mr. Scafidi didn't come out and back to look at your map. I'm not sure what branch of the EPA you work for. I'm not sure what department of Cleveland Water Company you work for. I have before me studies from the EPA, and I had studies from Cleveland Water. I really don't need to look at your drawing. As far as cancer in anybody's family in Glenwood Acres, I have a sister that has cancer. She never lived there. I have a brother-in-law that died of cancer. He never lived there, or did they live in Twinsburg? So cancer is a disease that is not only pinpointed at Glenwood Acres or at Twinsburg. Cancer is a horrible, rampant disease throughout this nation that we spend thousands and millions of dollars on each and every year trying to find a cure and a solution. Mr. Turrell, if you have that cure and that solution, you better bring it to the medical field. So now you can go from the EPA to Cleveland Water into medicine, because that's where you belong. And again, I will not be baited by you. I will not go into anything else that you said or address you. The facts are that we've been dealing with these water lines. We started not 6 years ago. We started in 2001. To me, that's about 14 years ago. So, and no, I don't take credit for that. I never did. And as I said in the past, it's not about taking credit for anything. This is about working for the residents that put me here in this seat, in this office, to work for them. And that's what I've done for 13 years. And that's what I will continue to do should I be successful next Tuesday. The next 4 years will be for the residents of this community. The last meeting, and again, listening to anybody talk about that issue, the last meeting, you got up and left the room when I tried to talk. And you walked back and forth in the lobby of this city hall whistling and singing to yourself like a little child. So you don't want to hear answers. You only want to hear yourself talk. Again, I'm doing it on my own. I will not talk about you. I'm done talking about you. You have not been my focus in this campaign. My focus has been my accomplishments. My focus has been what I'm going to do for these residents for the next 4 years, and what my career has been, a successful career for over 40 years in this business. I have nothing further to say about that. I will continue to work for this community honestly and with integrity for the next 4 years. Period. It's the end of my report, Mr. Fury.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Dusty, I'm a little disappointed you didn't quote from one of my articles. I've run a lot of them. So, but
You weren't alone.
But you were you did mention one concern that I just want to address. That there's been rumors spread door to door that I won't be full time. I mean, my position on that's been known since probably January, February. There's been numerous publications. There's been numerous postings on Facebook. I know that that's being thrown out there, but I think all the residents know that my commitment is to leave my firm and to be a full-time mayor. So I just wanted to address that. Thanks for coming.
All right, now we're going to move to committee reports. Mrs. Stoffer, would you like to go first?
I have no report.
Okay, Mr. Soresi?
Yes, thank you. The Finance Committee was scheduled to meet earlier today, but we canceled that meeting because of some complications we had. We will meet before the next council meeting on November 10th as a Finance Committee. Charter Review Oversight was to meet last week, and unfortunately, we had 2 of the 3 members were not available to meet, so we ended up having to cancel that at the last minute. We didn't have anything concerning on the agenda anyway, so we'll wait till our next meeting in January for the Charter Review Oversight Committee. Twins Days Committee meets next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. That's November 4th, 7 o'clock at the Twins Days facility. And the Safety Committee is scheduled to meet next month on November 17th here at 6:30. I've met with Chief Noga, and he has worked on the plan. One of the key things that we were discussing was limiting size of trucks that come on some of our city streets, and he has come up with a reasonable plan that he'll be presenting to the Safety Committee. And we will also hear at that time from the Fire Chief and an update on our sidewalk, our pedestrian safety program that's coming forward. So that'll all be next month, November 17th, 6:30 here. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Roden.
Thank you. The Environmental Commission met on October 15th, and Mr. Boggs from Kent State University reported on electric charging stations, and he and Daisy Walker are going to be looking at co-writing a grant together to see about getting that type of station here in Twinsburg, and she'll let us know. And then just another note is that the Environmental Commission has 3 positions opened. I know that we put an ad in the paper, but it is just, again, so you know, if you're living in wards 1, 2, or 3, there is an opening, and we'd love to have you join us with the Environmental Commission. So that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Okay. I attended a board meeting for the Chamber of Commerce on October 14th. Topics that they discussed were the upcoming clam bake, which several members have attended, and unfortunately it rained a little bit, but the food was great. The next board meeting for the Chamber of Commerce will be Wednesday, the 11th of November at 8 a.m. at the library. Planning Commission met October 19th, and the topic of their meeting was the final site plan for the Glen Eagles clubhouse. The City Council was shown the drawings and the elevations earlier this evening by Mr. Finch in our caucus meeting. The final site plan was approved by the Planning Commission by a vote of 5-0, and there were some conditions. First, they'd like to see if the second driveway that was going to be a service driveway could be gated at some point or limit the access because they're worried that that'll continue to be an entrance. They would like to make sure that the lighting is done in a way that it won't obstruct or interfere with the Waterford Condo Association. They'd like to revisit some of the landscaping regarding to trees that would cover the dumpsters, and that's pretty much it. There was also a public hearing regarding the clubhouse. There were several members of the Waterford Condo Association that said that they want to make sure that we are considerate of the noise, the hours of operation for bands and music on the weekends, and therefore. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that council accept the Planning Commission's recommendations with conditions above to move forward with this project. Is there any discussion? This is a city project, so we need to get a motion to move forward.
You're saying with conditions without council having discussed the conditions? Or are you saying
I just
accept it with
covered the
and
conditions.
you'll still discuss them and make a decision?
They're asking just to, since it was a 5-0 vote, Mayor, they're asking for me to go over those conditions and then have us just have by a motion saying we accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission.
Okay, well, I think we need to have a workshop to discuss, those plans. I mean, I don't think we've gotten to the point where we can take those plans with their recommendations without having a final discussion on it.
I had an email from the Planning Commission Secretary saying the motion wouldn't be ready to go forward. I don't know if Larry can enlighten.
Okay, because they asked me to do a motion tonight, Mayor.
Yeah,
So
I got
that
the
I
email
understand.
yesterday.
You know, if there's no rush, we can wait till the next
I
meeting.
think we
and do-
should wait till the next meeting so we have time during the caucus to actually discuss their recommendations, which we didn't bring up this evening.
No problem at all.
Good.
All right, we're not breaking ground next week. We could do
Right,
that.
exactly.
So,
No rush.
all right.
Thank you.
All right, there was a Twinsburg CIC meeting on October 22nd. Items on the agenda were a financial report, the status of the IRS exemption, looking at a promotional document, and I don't have the date of the next meeting, but I'll announce that at the next council meeting. Park and Recs met on October 22nd. Items on the agenda were an update of the farmers market. They'd like to continue that program, possibly see if they could do different signage and try to enhance the advertisement somewhat. There was also a discussion of bocce ball with one of our residents had come in and wanted to, again, investigate whether we would put them in parks at all, as he was, let known that the golf course really wasn't an option at this point. We also talked about water park fees and water park alcohol sales, which we discussed earlier this evening. Derek, are we going to? Did you need a? We're just going to present these later. Okay. All right. They looked also at the camp fees. We're going to stay the same. Water park fees. We're looking at just a very slight increase per the recommendation. And the other items we talked about in caucus regarding the additional licensing. And that's all I have this evening. Mr. McDermott?
Yes, I have no report this evening.
Mr. Yates?
Thank you. I did attend the Clam Bake, the Chamber Clam Bake. It was a hit and miss night with the rain, but it was a very well-run event. It seemed like the attendance app was up this year. Mr. Stracy discussed the finance meetings, and then lastly, I just want to share my condolences with the Williams family, Jack Williams family. So that was a loss the city had this past week.
Thank you. Mr. Scafidi?
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Good evening, residents. The Board of Zoning Appeals will meet tomorrow evening at 6:30 here at City Hall. They do have one case that they will be reviewing for zoning for an ordinance variance. So that's it on BZA. The Capital Improvements Board, last week the chairman of Capital Improvements, Matt Salur, came before the Finance Committee of Council and laid out all of the capital improvement, their decisions on all the capital requests for next year from all of the departments. Matt, once again, did a great job presenting that to Finance, and I believe Finance will then be going over those recommendations and then recommend to Council, correct? Okay. So that's what will happen next. But again, I want to thank Matt and the entire Capital Improvements Board for a great job that they did this year. They really took it serious, and they got all their work done in a short period of time. And on behalf of myself and I'm sure all of Council and the Mayor, we thank you guys for your work and what you do. Other than that, that's all I have tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Good evening, Council, residents. Nice to see everybody this evening. I would like to start by extending our condolences to the friends and family of Jack Williams. As you know, Jack Williams was an employee at the City of Twinsburg. He was our dog warden. He also had tasks that he performed for the police department. And he was a man with a great community spirit. He volunteered many years ago for many of the activities in the city. He worked for our own fire department here in the city of Twinsburg. He had a big personality and a big heart, loved his family, his friends, and loved the outdoors, and he will be sadly missed. We truly enjoyed Jack and will miss him. So I just wanted to extend again our sympathy to the family and to his fellow employees here, because there is a gap that we will feel for a long time without his presence. So we remember Jack Williams very fondly. Now, moving on to a few things, we will have a further discussion about the PSAPs, which are the public safety answering points. As you have been following the discussion, by January 1st, we need to get down to 5 PSAPs in Summit County, which means that our cellular phone calls, our 911 cellular phone calls, are going to be routed over to Stowe. And Stowe is going to be answering an additional 20,000 calls. They're all cellular 911 calls. And they will be the initial contact for those emergency calls, and then they will be routed to the various cities here in northern Summit County. Our chief and some of the other chiefs in northern Summit County have been having the discussions with the committee, the emergency, the regional emergency 911 committee, plus with the county. This is a state mandate, though. It is something that the state is saying that we have to implement. Unfortunately, across the state, there's 88 counties, but there are only, I'm not sure if it's 6 or 8 counties that are being impacted by this, because most of them are rural and they don't have a lot of PSAPs as it is, or dispatch centers as it is. So this is something we will be dealing with. We are hopeful that within a year we can reopen the agreement and the contract and renegotiate. We feel that the city of Twinsburg is in position, especially with our new equipment in our dispatch center, which was just the dispatch center was just opened this past week. It was newly installed. It's a beautiful, up-to-date, next-gen, we are next-gen ready in our dispatch center. So we feel that we can definitely be the next PSAP in Summit County if that occurs. So within a year, we're hopeful that we can open this discussion back up and become that PSAP here. In the meantime, we'll keep you posted on how things are working out. It is a concern. I don't want anybody to panic. Certainly don't want to give that kind of information or concern out to the residents. I'm sure it'll be handled professionally. They have great dispatchers in Stowe and at the other PSAP center. But I just want you to be aware of it, that this is something that we will be dealing with. We're all going to be working through it, and we will have further discussions with our council members about how that's working out. So that was the first topic of discussion this evening. Again, just to make you aware that we are doing everything we can to have discussion down at the state. Some of the mayors and the state city police chiefs and fire chiefs will be going down to the state legislature to testify in this. Other than that, a clubhouse, I think the Planning Commission recommendations are excellent. I don't have a problem with that. I would like further discussion about the driveway, though, so that's why I'm glad that you didn't make the motion this evening, so that we can discuss that further, and then we'll make the motion on after we've had that discussion. So I appreciate that. Halloween will be this Saturday. That's October 31st from 6 to 8 o'clock. So drivers, please be aware that our kids are out there walking on the streets. Be careful, go slow. Parents, house owners, please put your lights on, light up the walkways for the kids, and everybody have a good, safe time on Halloween night. And with that, we're ready to start our department head reports. Karen, Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to report the update on our asset appraisals that we had conducted for 2 weeks. We did receive a notification that it is 90% complete, and this asset appraisal simply assists us in ensuring that our assets are up to date, and this information is also shared with our insurance agency to match up to make sure that everything that they have listed as insured of our properties matches this report. It also makes sure that what they value our assets at and what they're insuring is accurate. So this is very helpful in ensuring that our insurance is being priced reasonably. In regards to the income tax collections that we received in October, we received $1,321,049 compared to last year receipts of $1,708,443. This does reflect a 23% decrease, or $387,393 less than last year. The total year-to-date receipts collected for 2015 is $16,229,464 compared to last year $19,687,423. This also reflects a decrease of 18%, or $3,457,959 less over last year. Also, the net cash distribution applied due to the 0.25% reduction is $156,765. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Karen. As you can see, we're still seeing the impact from the loss of Chrysler, but even more importantly and more recently, the impact from the loss of the 0.25% income tax. So as predicted, our revenues are down last year and again this year, and that's why we have been very, very careful and cautious about how we spend our reserves. So we will keep you posted on our financial picture. So thank you, Karen. And now we have some department head reports. Who's first there tonight? Derek, thank you.
First in, first out.
Exactly. Good evening. I wanted to mention a few things going on in our department. We just had our auditions for our next Twinsburg Community Theater show. We had almost 200 people audition this past weekend for our show, which will be the last 2 weekends in January. We're doing a musical review, so it'll be snippets of between 20 and 30 shows. Broadway shows will have live music this year as well. Lots of opportunities for people to be the leads of one snippet, and then in the ensemble of the other. So it should be a big show that'll allow a lot of people the chance to maybe step more in front of the stage than in the back. So we're looking forward to that. So hopefully we'll announce the cast here over the next week or two, depending on how long it takes them to get it together. Also, this past weekend was Truck or Treat, our Halloween event. It was massively successful. It's our biggest crowd to date. Beautiful weather, and we had a lot of good people from the community. Businesses come out, bring trucks, and support the event, so we thank them for that. We have our Turkey Trot 5-mile race coming up, and something a little different this year, we're running in the reverse loop. So usually we go down McTerry and onto Old Hickory. This time we're going down Ravenna to Center Valley and coming around the loop that way. So it should be pretty interesting. I don't know of any other races that switch things up like that. I think it's going to be a little tougher, so if you're practicing and training for it, it's going to be a little tougher. I do want to announce a couple things coming back to event-wise. It's kind of event mode for me right now. We have Luminosity coming back to the lighting of City Hall in the Square on November 28th. Reminderville is going to join us with that as well this year, as well as the township. We have Light the Night, our Hanukkah event, on December 9th. We have Winter Wonderland December 6th. We have Breakfast with Santa on December 12th. We have our holiday giving tree that supports children from Summit County Children's Services. That'll be starting around Thanksgiving. And I hope everyone, if you haven't noticed, but take it into our new marketing director who started with us about 6 months ago. Our website's different. We have a new e-blast. If you're not on it, you can sign up online. Facebook is continually updated. We're turning into a Twitter page and a Instagram page as well. Things are up to date. Things are accurate. Our flyers that are coming out are of high quality, consistent message throughout the whole department. So we're really excited to have him on board. Things are going really well with that. And I'm hoping council and the residents are noticing the difference on the communication from the Parks and Rec and Fitness Center. And that is all I have.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you, Derek. I'm glad you brought up about Ryan's work with the technology in the department, because we certainly are seeing a difference, even out to the sign and everything. It's a great improvement, and he's doing a nice job. Thank you. Colette?
Good evening, everybody. The Civil Service Commission met on October 15th, and they approved that a fully qualified internal candidate could be promoted to the new fleet manager position without having to have a competitive exam. So we did have a qualified person from within. I believe that was discussed with council previously when we did that salary ordinance update. The next meeting for civil service is November 12th. In the IT department, early last week we switched over to our new high-speed internet. We're still tweaking that a little bit, but that's going to be a great improvement. The dispatch center, as the mayor mentioned, is up and running. There's still some punch list items that our IT department is involved in, putting some more additional monitors up and that, but we're just about done with that. The wiring behind you, some of the audio is being will be refurbished, and some of the audio and technology back there is going to involve the IT department also. And then our applicant tracking system will go online within a couple of weeks. Our final training session is this Thursday. In the HR department, our heavy truck equipment mechanic position is advertised both in the paper and internally, so we're hoping to get a candidate for that position. Our flu shots were held yesterday. We had about 40 employees receive their flu shots. Healthcare committee is reviewing several wellness programs. And November 4th is our drug-free workplace training. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's the end of our reports this evening.
Great.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to legislation. Ordinance 117, 2015.
An ordinance creating Chapter 182 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Twinsburg, establishing a municipal income tax ordinance to become effective January 1st, 2016.
Okay. This ordinance stands on its second reading. Resolution 130, 2015.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an amended professional service contract with Christopher Campbell to provide the service of the Public Works Director.
I make a motion we adopt Resolution 130, 2015. Is there a second? Mr. Scavidi seconds. Discussion? This is this redoes a contract with our part-time service director. It increases his salary by 6% for the first time in 4 years. So, are there any other comments? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 130, 2015 passes 7-0. Ordinance 132, 2015.
An ordinance amending Section 1148.20 of the Twinsburg Zoning and Development Regulations, establishing architectural design standards in the C5 Mixed Residence Business District as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Okay, Ordinance 132, 2015 will stand on its first reading. Resolution 133, 2015.
A resolution accepting the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Council regarding numerous enterprise zone agreements within the City of Twinsburg and the County of Summit.
Make a motion that we adopt Resolution 133, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion. We have a tax review group that meets with the county, the school board, residents, and city officials. This is about a tax or an enterprise zone. We have one agreement that was recommended to be renewed. So, any other discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 133, 2015 passes 7-0. Resolution 134, 2015.
A resolution authorized the mayor to prepare and submit a community development matching grant fund application to the Summit County Land Bank Discretionary Grant Fund Program.
I move we adopt Resolution 134, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Yates seconds. Discussion
This is for asbestos removal?
for the old school,
Yes,
up to $50,000.
correct.
Any other discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Ordinance 134, 2015 passes 7-0. Ordinance 135, 2015.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various general revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 24, 2015, the appropriation ordinance of the City of Twinsburg for the year 2015, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to place Ordinance 135, 2015 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McDermott seconds the emergency. Discussion on the emergency. Purpose for the emergency is this is really a bookkeeping correction regarding the an $1,800 amount of money that needs to be moved around in Parker Recs for the summer camp buses. So we need to get this done as quickly as possible. That's the reason for the emergency. Shannon, would you call the roll for the emergency, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency clause for Ordinance 135, 2015 passes 7-0. I would now like to adopt as an emergency Ordinance 135, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Yates seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Okay, Ordinance 135, 2015 passes 7-0 as an emergency. Ordinance 136, 2015.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the various special revenue accounts as established in Ordinance 24, 2015, the appropriation ordinance of the City of Twinsburg for the year 2015, and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to place Ordinance 136, 2015 on its third and final reading and declared an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Purpose for the emergency is that we are transferring money in an account or increasing the amount in a fund for the cameras and audio equipment that were upgraded in council chambers. So we need to pay the bill. Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, the emergency for 136 passes 7-0. This time I'd like to adopt as an emergency ordinance 136, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Roden seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 136 passes as an emergency 7-0. And that concludes our legislation for this evening. We move to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mrs. Stoffer?
I have none.
Mr. Sorese?
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Roden?
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Mr. McDermott?
I have nothing this evening.
Mr. Yates?
Just briefly, next week is November 3rd, so I encourage everyone to get out and vote. And for all the candidates who have put themselves out there for the last 5 months, some of us quite a bit longer, I just want to wish everyone luck and hope to see everyone on November 3rd. That's all I have.
Thanks, Ted. Sam?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mayor?
The only thing I have is I'd like to reiterate, don't forget to vote. Thank you.
Mr. Maestros?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, I have a few things. Our charter calls that our meetings are on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. We also have to have a December change. We discussed it like March, but we didn't actually make a motion. This time I'd like to move the December 22nd meeting to December 1st. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Roden?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, that's it for this evening. So at this time, I'd like to adjourn tonight's council meeting. And thank you very much.
Bada bing.